Welcome to the DOGE Diaries, diving deep into government efficiency.
All right, everyone, let's jump right in. We've got a lot to cover today, particularly how these government efficiency initiatives are going to affect, well, everything, including the Wild West that is Dogecoin transactions.
Yeah, and I'm especially interested in seeing how these efficiency pushes are going to affect the average person. Are we talking about real savings that people will see, or just cuts that hurt essential services?
Absolutely. I think we're on the cusp of something transformative, especially when we consider the potential of melding things like DOGE and data privacy regulations. It's like, imagine a world where government is as streamlined and efficient as a well-coded blockchain, with the security and transparency to match. It's utopian, I know, but that's the vision.
Utopian is one word for it. I think we need to be grounded in reality. The American system, while not perfect, has checks and balances for a reason. Rushing into things for the sake of disruption rarely ends well. Look at the news about federal agencies already scrambling to meet workforce reduction targets. That's the reality of these efficiency drives: cuts, layoffs, and potential disruption to vital services.
Exactly. This article about federal agencies rushing to reshape their workforces. It says they're trying to avoid layoffs, but let's be real, RIFs are coming. And what about the impact on the people left behind? More work, less resources. It's going to hit the average government worker hard, and by extension, everyone who relies on government services.
But think about the long game. The article also mentions the Elon Musk-backed Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, is heavily involved. We're talking about potentially revolutionizing how government operates. Yes, there might be short-term pain, but the long-term gain, a more efficient, less wasteful government, could free up resources for innovation and progress. Imagine what that could mean for infrastructure, education, even space exploration.
Again, potential is the key word, and who's holding DOGE accountable? The article mentions agencies haven't been given clear blueprints for these cuts. The HR personnel are guessing at priorities. That doesn't sound like a well-thought-out revolution to me. It sounds like chaos.
And this talk about efficiencies, where's the proof it's actually benefiting the average citizen? This Florida article about local government spending, it makes a good point. They have this Florida DOGE, right? But who is really benefiting? Are property taxes going down? Are services improving? Or is it just a way to justify cuts that hurt the community?
But see, that's where the Dogecoin angle comes in. Think about blockchain technology. It inherently promotes transparency. If we could somehow integrate that level of transparency into government spending, we could see exactly where the money is going and ensure it's being used efficiently. We could use smart contracts to automate processes and reduce corruption. It's all connected.
That sounds great on paper, but how does that work in practice? Let's say we use a Dogecoin-like blockchain to track government contracts. Who audits the initial data input? Who ensures the smart contracts are actually fair and unbiased? It just adds another layer of complexity and potential for manipulation, if you ask me.
And what about data privacy? If every government transaction is on a public ledger, what's stopping someone from tracking individual spending habits or identifying vulnerable people? It feels like we'd be trading efficiency for our own privacy.
Those are valid concerns, absolutely. But there are solutions. We can use privacy-enhancing technologies, like zero-knowledge proofs, to ensure transactions are verified without revealing sensitive data. It's all about finding the right balance between transparency and privacy. Think of it like a self-driving car. It needs data to navigate, but it also needs to protect the privacy of its passengers.
A self-driving car that's prone to crashing. That's how I see it. And let's not forget about GDPR and other data privacy regulations. How would a Dogecoin-based system comply with those laws? It's not as simple as just slapping some privacy tech on top.
Yeah, I think there's a huge disconnect here. Government data is way more sensitive than your average Dogecoin transaction. We're talking about people's medical records, financial information, social security numbers. Putting that on a blockchain, even with privacy measures, feels incredibly risky.
But the potential benefits are enormous. Imagine cutting out bureaucratic red tape, reducing corruption, and empowering citizens with greater control over their data. It's about building a more democratic and transparent society. And look, the other news we have here is Trump's comments about the Russia-Ukraine peace talks. Maybe a blockchain system could even help facilitate international agreements, providing a secure and transparent platform for negotiations. I'm not saying it's a silver bullet, but it's worth exploring.
Okay, hold on. Linking Dogecoin to international peace talks? That's a stretch, even for you. And this article about Trump saying Russia doesn't have the cards, it highlights a real problem with consistent US foreign policy. I'm not sure cryptocurrency is the answer.
Yeah, I'm with her. Trump's all over the place on that issue. I don't see how Doge helps with that.
It's about decentralization. It's about removing the influence of single actors and creating a system that is more resistant to corruption and manipulation. A blockchain-based system could provide a neutral platform for verifying information and tracking progress towards peace agreements.
But again, who controls the blockchain? Who validates the data? It just shifts the power dynamic, it doesn't eliminate it. And what happens when there are disagreements about the data on the blockchain? Who resolves those disputes?
And let's be practical for a second. Most people don't even understand how blockchain works. How are they going to trust a system that's based on something they don't understand?
Education. We need to educate people about the benefits of blockchain technology and make it more accessible. Think about the early days of the internet. People were skeptical at first, but now it's an integral part of our lives.
The internet also came with a lot of downsides. Cybercrime, misinformation, privacy violations. Are we just going to repeat those mistakes with blockchain?
And look at this article about Trump eyeing Greenland. I get it, it has resources, but doesn't he have anything more important to worry about when the average citizen is facing economic hardship? How can we ensure any potential development benefits the Greenlandic people and doesn't just exploit their resources?
But think about the possibilities. Greenland has vast untapped resources. If we can develop those resources in a sustainable and responsible way, it could create jobs, boost the economy, and help us transition to a greener future. It's about optimizing the use of global resources for the benefit of everyone. And a decentralized currency like Doge could help facilitate fair and transparent transactions, ensuring that the benefits are shared equitably.
Responsible and sustainable development? That's not exactly Trump's forte. And a fair transaction in Dogecoin? Come on. The price is driven by hype and speculation. How is that a stable basis for economic development?
Exactly. What happens when the Doge market crashes? Does Greenland's economy crash with it? It seems like a huge risk to tie a developing nation's economy to such a volatile asset.
That Florida Doge task force. The article says it's supposed to boost accountability, but I am not really sure. It also mentions that local purchasing departments already wield enormous power with minimal oversight. How does Doge fix that without adding another layer of bureaucracy?
Yeah, it says taxpayers deserve accountability at the local level, but how will that be achieved? This is just words.
By making the procurement process more transparent, by using blockchain technology to track every bid, every contract, and every payment, by empowering citizens with the tools to hold their elected officials accountable. It's about building a more participatory democracy.
And who's going to pay for all of this? Implementing a blockchain system across all levels of government is going to be incredibly expensive. Where's that money going to come from? More cuts to vital services.
And how do we ensure that these systems are accessible to everyone, including people who don't have access to the internet or who aren't tech savvy? Are we just going to create a two-tiered system where some people have access to government services and others don't?
These are all valid concerns, but we can't let these challenges paralyze us. We need to be bold, we need to be innovative, and we need to be willing to experiment. The future is coming, whether we like it or not. And I believe that blockchain technology, combined with a visionary leader like Elon Musk, can help us build a better future for everyone.
Experimenting with people's lives. I think we need to be a lot more cautious. The US system is not perfect, but it has checks and balances for a reason. Rushing into things for the sake of disruption rarely ends well.
I agree. I just want to see how these changes are going to impact the average person. Are they going to make our lives better? Or are they just going to make things more complicated and expensive?
And what about this continuing resolution fight? Trump's pressuring Republicans to support the bill. That doesn't sound very decentralized or democratic to me.
It's politics as usual, but I wonder if he is pressuring Congress just to get this over and done with and not really addressing the underlying issues.
It's putting politics before the needs of the people. What's going to happen to the average American? I just want to know how this impacts us.
It's a test. It's a test of whether our government can function effectively. Think about it like this. If the government can function more efficiently, it can focus on other things. And maybe Doge can help with that. I am hopeful.
I still think there needs to be transparency in the entire process and that everyone involved needs to have the expertise and be accountable to someone.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground, and I am still very worried about how these changes affect the average person.
Indeed. Thanks, everyone, for the lively discussion. It's clear that there are many different perspectives on the impact of government efficiency initiatives and the role of Dogecoin. We'll see what happens.